is the best day of the week. Thanks for spending part of your Friday with CNN Student News. From the CNN Center, I'm Carl Lazouz. First up today, President Bush declares a state of emergency in Florida thanks to Tropical Storm Faye. We have been talking about this storm all week. It's been smashing into different parts of the state since Monday. And as the rains fall, the floodwaters rise. Some residents are wading through more than 2 feet of them. Forecasters say there's more to come. Faye made its third landfall in 4 days on Tuesday, hitting Flagler Beach in northeast Florida. Rusty Dornan was in nearby St. Augustine when the storm came ashore again.
This storm is not over, and we urge everyone in North Florida, including all of you in this room, to prepare for the rain that is coming.
Faye will forever be known as a rainmaker. NASA reported the Cape Canaveral area was drenched by 21 inches on Wednesday, and forecasters say the storm could dump up to 30 inches on the state by the end of this week. The National Guard evacuated some residents in Melbourne, Florida, who were surrounded by water.
They were wonderful. They came right up to the door and helped us out. We didn't expect the water to be waist deep. We'll be glad when it's over. Hopefully it'll start going down.
The storm lumbered along the east coast of Florida, at times moving only 2 miles per hour. Forecasters say that's why the rains were so torrential. Emergency officials warn residents don't underestimate the force of floodwaters.
1 foot of flowing water can sweep any kind of vehicle, SUV or smaller, off the road.
Many businesses and public offices remained closed Wednesday as residents were warned to hunker down till the storm passed. Faye continues to confound forecasters. What began as a highly disorganized storm has speeded up, slowed down, and changed directions.
I mean, nobody knows for sure exactly where this thing is going to go. That's why it's so important for people to stay in touch with local news reports, stay in touch with local officials, make sure they keep abreast of what's happening with the storm.
The immediate concern is for flooding, as they're expecting anywhere from 5 to 15 inches of rain when the storm comes ashore. And the tropical storm Faye becomes the storm that just won't go away. For CNN Student News, I'm Rusty Dornan, reporting in St. Augustine, Florida.
See if you can ID me. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1954, and my life has been filled with firsts. I was the first woman and first African American to become provost of Stanford University. I'm the first woman to serve as the U.S. National Security Advisor. And I'm the first African American woman to serve as U.S. Secretary of State. I'm Condoleezza Rice, one of the world's most influential people, according to Time magazine.
Secretary Rice is in Iraq this week, meeting with officials about national security. Yesterday, she sat down with Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. He is going to be on the right in your screen. You see him there. They're working on an agreement that would put Iraqi troops in charge of the country's security. But this plan is still in progress. In Secretary Rice's words, when we have a deal, we'll have a deal. Negotiating treaties with other countries is a big part of the job for the Secretary of State, who is the President's chief advisor on foreign affairs. Secretary Rice did reach an agreement on a different deal this week. It'll place U.S. missiles in Poland as part of a defense system. But Russia says those missiles are too close for its comfort. As Zain Verjee tells us, it's just the latest action to strain relations between Washington and Moscow.
Her signature on a missile defense deal with Poland, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice put it like this.
Missile defense, of course, is aimed at no one.
But the idea of a U.S. missile defense shield in its backyard has Russia seeing red. Now the Kremlin's threatening its former Soviet satellite, Poland, with a nuclear attack. In an interview with CNN, Rice warned Moscow, don't even think about it.
The Russians must know that we have an Article 5 guarantee to Poland as a member of NATO. They must know that the United States would never permit an attack on the territory of an ally.
The U.S. says the 10 interceptor missiles to be based in Poland are to ward off threats from Iran or North Korea. Rice called the timing of the deal coincidental, but her visit a poke in the eye to Moscow at a time the world wants Russian troops out of Georgia.
The Russian president is beginning to sound like a broken record. First, his troops were going to be out on Monday. Then his troops were going to be out on Wednesday. Now his troops are going to be out on Friday. I'm beginning to wonder if the Russian president is ever going to keep his word.
And Secretary Rice says reports of permanent Russian checkpoints in the Georgian town of Gori violate the ceasefire it signed. So far, threats of a diplomatic deep freeze have failed to get Russia out. In fact, Russia is now threatening to suspend ties with NATO.
Sometimes it takes a little time for diplomatic isolation to set in as a fact. Sometimes it takes a little time for a state to weigh the costs of what it's done.
Secretary Rice says the Russian president is only embarrassing himself by not keeping his word and by not withdrawing Russian troops from Georgia. In the end, she says that Russia has only gained isolation and a bad reputation. Zane Vergy, CNN, Warsaw.
Time for some fast facts. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, was formed in 1949. Originally, 12 countries were members of the organization, but that number now stands at 26. The goal of NATO is to protect the freedom and security of its member nations by political and military means, and it often plays an important role in international peacekeeping. All right, we're going to switch gears now to tell you a little bit about the Olympics. They are closing up. The closing ceremony is wrapping up on Sunday. We've talked about some of the outstanding athletic accomplishments of the Games, but there's another sport taking place in Beijing, one where everyone can win something. Emily Chang brings us along as she tries her hand at Olympic pin trading.
And it's simple as you point to something and say, I really like that pin, and I point to something I like, and sometimes we just trade right away, sometimes a little bit of negotiations.
Okay, so I'm starting with 18 CNN Beijing pins made just for this Olympics, and I'm told the media pins are pretty popular, so we're going to see what we can get with these, and Bud here is going to be my first customer.
Well, I've got a mixture of USA pins, because I'm an American. I've got some pins here from Beijing that are quite rare and remarkable.
I think I'm going to go for the USA baseball pin since it is the last Olympics with baseball.
Okay, now I'd like to trade for one of the red ones.
Okay, so I really like the Fuwa, the official Olympic mascot, so I'll take one of those. All right.
Thank you again.
There you go. This for this. Okay, all right, that's a deal. No? No. I'm only trading the CNN pins. These are the media pins. They're very valuable. No? No? Okay. They didn't want my CNN pins.
Somebody has CNN pins.
I have CNN pins.
That's you, okay. Media pins you can't buy. Team pins you can't buy. So the only way to get them is to be able to trade someone, so it proves that you have the ability to access people that are not so accessible.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, you have 6.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think we can make an even trade.
All right, let's do that.
Okay, so we're done, and I think we did pretty well. I started with 18 CNN Beijing pins, and I ended up with 19 pins because one very generous man gave me this pin for free. So I feel pretty good about it. Maybe I'll see these guys at the next Olympics.
Emily Chang, CNN, Beijing.
We've been getting a lot of blog comments about whether the drinking age should be lowered to 18, as some university presidents recently suggested. Travis says he hates alcohol because he's personally seen it destroy lives and break up homes. But he asks, if a person is old enough to fight in our nation's military, how can we say that same person isn't old enough to drink? Jacob feels that if they do lower the drinking age, more people are going to get drunk, more car crashes are going to occur. A lot of folks agreed with that, connecting drinking with drunk driving. Also, Caleb said lowering the drinking age is like giving a toddler the steering wheel. But Ashley asks, if the age doesn't get lowered, then most people will just do it illegally, so why not make it legal at 18? This blog is going to be up all weekend, so we hope you will comment at cnnstudentnews.com.